Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about Fate Remnant Collide. So yeah, let us begin, ladies and gents. So we currently see the perspective of Cinder. So in this case, Cinder is currently on the floor as she's currently seeing the servant that she summoned, or at least that's what she's not thinking, because at the time she was just like confused. First thing she knows is that a glowing circle appeared, but she was thinking, I don't want to die or be useless to, Mr. Salem or whatever. And then a woman appeared and saved her and claimed to be her, and I quote, Berserker servant, which confused her even more. As the woman known as... Actually, let me just check the name. As she would say this, Servant Berserker, she would say, as she would wield up her bow once again, as she would fire off an arrow which destroyed everything with torrential winds, almost like her bow, or at least her arrows, are fused with, wind dust or air dust. But it was amplified for some reason. Not even normal, like raw, simple dust can actually do that type of thing. Unless if it's enhanced, which was incredible to say the least to her. As when she did see the woman would also look at her as she would say, so, are you okay, my child, she would say. As when she heard that, she would say, child? As when she heard that, she would say, yes, but for now, we should focus on taking down the enemy, she would say, as she would grab onto some sort of hilt. Doing so, she would remove some sort of sword, a sword with a ornate style hilt with two balls, I guess you could say, on the end of the hilt. As she would say this, now, are you prepared, she would say. As after saying that, she would charge right in towards Team Wrath actually not even, a few of Team RWBY. Yeah, just RWBY herself. As we would go back to the perspective of Rex. As one of Team, Wrath, specifically Walter, would say, Wanda! As when he saw that, Rex would say, no way, that's a servant, he would say. As after hearing that, everybody would look at him, as Tina would say, wait, I thought that's your semblance. As he would say, yeah, but how, he would say. As Harmony would say, whatever, let's just get out of here. As you would say, just go by yourselves, I'll go take care of her. As after saying this, the girls would look, the rest of Team Wrath would look at him, as Walter would say, very well, just be careful, try not to get yourself killed upon it, he would say, as all of them would start leaving. As he would look back at Cinder, or at least that's, to be more specific, Rex and some other people do not know that is Cinder. So yeah, as when they got ready, Rex would look back at Archer, aka specifically Emiya Alter, and the rest of the Valkyries, aka, let me just check, specifically Thrud, Hilder, and Ortlinda, as they would get ready their spears at the ready, as Izuku would say, Emiya, you can go now. As Emiya would hear this, he would disappear, turning into golden dust. Doing so, he would summon in two more servants to fight, specifically Vlad and Ibuki Doji. As when they were summoned, Vlad would say, so, you have another servant here. But it seems that she's definitely not a part of our group, right, Master? As Rex would say, yes, exactly, Vlad. And for you, Ibuki Doji, as Ibuki would, or he's just gonna say like Saber, because remember, servants have true names, and if their true names are told, some servants are able to find out their weakness just by their names alone. So, as when he said Saber, or Saber, wait for a second, specifically Saber of Ebony, as they would say, yes, she would say, as she would grab out her sword, aka Shinken. God dang it, I'm just gonna call it Kusanagi, because it's much more simpler than just the Noble Phantasm's actual freaking name. Either way, as we continue on, we currently see Izuku, I meant Rex, as Rex would tell them to get ready to fight. After doing so, we go back to Cinder. As Cinder would say, what is on my hand, she would say, as she would look at the symbol on her hand, resembling that of a flame, a burning flame, and in the inside is some sort of sword. As the woman, now known as Berserker, would look at her as she would explain, "Oh, that's your command seal. Using it, you're able to help me in battle. Now, tell me your orders, my kid," she would say. As after saying that, she would look at her, as she would say, try and stop him. I need to get out of here, she would say. As she would say, very well, but you can also use that to teleport me to you in case you're in trouble. So, just be careful. As after saying this, Cinder would start leaving, as she would say, take care of them, okay? As after that, she would disappear. When hearing that, the woman would look at them, as everybody would look, like everybody would start, start testing up, tensing up, as she would say, now, let us begin. As she would grab onto her sword and charged right towards Vlad, Vlad would start creating several polearms, specifically ones for impaling. She would dodge out of the way gracefully, as she would use the sword to slice up a part of Vlad's armor. The armor was pretty tough, but thanks to her being, I'm just gonna make it a spoiler, but because she's associated with a god, or at least she is part god, like a demigod essentially, she would cut through right through where Vlad's shoulder, his left shoulder, all the way to this side, or his left side, causing it to bleed, as he would say, quite strong, he would say. As she would say, thank you, but I won't let you harm any of my children here, she would say. As she would grab onto another weapon, being that the Naginata, which is essentially a Japanese spear, as she would charge right in towards Izuku, not Izuku, I meant Rex specifically, as she would say, it seems that you're the opponent's master. Or at least, as she would say, it seems that you're the master's servants. Now, I'm going to destroy you, she would say. As after saying this, she would jump right towards him, getting ready to slash him down with the Naginata. As when Rex saw this, Rex would bring out his mystic code or his weapon. He would just summon in, Gungnir. As Gungnir would transform into shield form, blocking the attack. As the eyes and mouth-like area of the shield would start opening up, revealing multiple different types of dust crystals, as you would fire multiple different elements right in front of the Berserker servant. She would jump out of the way as she would say, "Oh, oh, ungrateful," she would say. After saying this, a part of her, a part of her, dress and, I guess you could say, like, a part of her, body was burnt, but it would start healing rapidly as she would look at the child, aka Rex, as she would say, "How unfortunate. It seems that you're a kid as well, just like my daughter. Oh well, I will not show mercy either then." As she would get ready, as she would start chanting, as Rex would say, "Wait, she's using her noble phantasm?" As she would start chanting, saying, she would say, "Come forth, my four heavenly kings." Saying this, multiple copies of herself would appear from lightning, each of them were wielding different weapons. One being the bow that she wielded earlier, a sword from earlier as well, some sort of axe that starts spinning, almost similar to some sort of like circular saw, and finally the naginata. As she would say this, continuing on from the chant, "The retainer of Gozuteno, take the shape of my memory." As the three copies would fire their attacks, the axe-wielding one would rush towards, Rex. As Rex would barely hold on to his, to Gungnir, aka in shield form. As the other one, specifically the one wielding the bow, would fire off a blast of wind as the arrow would rush towards, the Valkyrie. And as for the last two, or at least the one that's most prominent, being that of the spear or the naginata wielding one, seems to be the leader or the actual main body. And as for the katana wielding one, it would rush towards, let me just check the name again. Specifically Ibuki Doji, as she would finish off the noble phantasm saying, "Here I go! Vengeful lightning of the Axe King!" She would scream out, as the blast would destroy the entire area of the Emerald Forest, causing multiple people from Beacon, from earlier after the party, would create an earthquake which caused everybody to be confused and terrified. And we would also currently see as well the rest of Team Wrath that decide to retreat, and they're telling Ozpin about the situation. Ozpin would be surprised, and not only that, concerned that hearing about somebody summoning in a servant. Even though he only thinks that Rex, to actually summon them, but hearing this, he would be afraid and also kind of terrified, considering most servants have the power to basically destroy entire kingdoms if they wanted to. So, as after the attack was done, she would say, disappointing. Though, as before she can say anything else, she would start sensing more servants. As these servants would appear, these two new servants seem to be formed from another, magic circle. As these two servants would be revealed, one of the servants was that of a girl, wielding that of some sort of morning star-like weapon, and barely covering anything, and the other was a multi-armed, whatever the thing is. It looks like a centaur with wings and 6 arms, and if I'm not surprised, it probably has 2 other faces. It looks like a freaking Ashura, to say the least. As they would both say, servant, berserker, as they would look towards the woman in front of them, as they would say, "Now, we shall destroy you for daring to fight Master!" They would scream. And so, this is where we're gonna be ending off this episode. So yeah, bye-bye!